got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just. I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
Planet. And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
In a heated segment on his podcast, Joe Rogan didn't hold back as he called out Jake Paul over his upcoming fight with Gervonta "Tank" Davis.
But no time limit within the weight classes.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Because you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue. Every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Branding the YouTube star-turned-boxer a weight bully and questioning the legitimacy of his approach to the sport. Rogan, who has always been vocal about maintaining fairness in combat sports.
One thing, that's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers.
Slammed Jake for constantly fighting smaller opponents and manipulating weight divisions to gain an advantage. According to Rogan, Jake Paul's pattern has become predictable.
Things, right? They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, all kidding aside, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance, you know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. Well, but we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but you know, a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Thunder Lips. He was Thunder Lips back there.
Target fighters from lighter weight classes, lure them into the ring with huge paydays, and then rely on his size and power to dominate them. He emphasized that while Jake has improved significantly as a boxer,
It's a problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just like,
but
doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it, it
watching
bothers the
it is
fuck out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you
parasocial
in.
thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw.
facing Gervonta Davis, who typically fights around 135 pounds, is an unfair mismatch, especially when Jake walks around close to 200 pounds.
Leonard Ellerby said,
Rogan pointed out that even with weight clauses or rehydration limits, the size and power difference would be massive, calling it a dangerous fight that could harm the sport's credibility.
Let's go band for band on what you making. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing, for sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got your chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates? Oh, my goodness. I mean, here's the thing, though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline.
You can't call yourself a legitimate boxer if you keep dragging smaller guys up to your division, Rogan said, his tone sharp. Jake has talent, no doubt, but if he wants respect, he should fight someone his own size.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds.
I said it was 190.
The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just. I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to like P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. Like, I thought
That's
it was
bad,
190.
D.
It was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it.
Someone like David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, or even a rematch with Tommy Fury. Rogan also highlighted that Gervonta Davis, though known for his knockout power, would be severely undersized.
And why he's fighting YouTube sensation turned professional boxer Jake Paul, who has 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 7 wins by way of knockout, opposed to fighting against the likes of his peers who are well accomplished and superstars in their own right for legacy fights like Shakur Stevenson, like Teofimo Lopez, like Devin Haney. Why he's not interested in those fights. And he gets real, right? He gets real, and only thing we could do is salute it, right? Because he's saying, I never told y'all I wanted to be a world champion. I never told y'all I wanted to be undisputed. I got into this for myself and my circumstances to escape from my circumstances. And that's real. We can't blame him for that. We hold him in high regard because the statements he's made and misled people when he said he got a hit list that he wants to check off before he retires, and that hit list includes Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, who turned down the fight because of a severe back injury. And then he told the world, he told Champside, it would be great for him to become undisputed. So I think that he had a change of heart at some point in time along the way.
And despite his incredible skill and speed, physics can't be ignored. The weight and reach differences could turn the fight into a spectacle rather than a fair contest. Fans online seem to agree with Rogan, flooding social media with comments echoing his sentiment that Jake Paul is picking on smaller men to build his record. However, some defended Jake.
Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing, okay? I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero. People will then say, now get the hell out the sport. And I'm talking about from a fighter's perspective. That's what they're going to say. Now, it's not going to go on either one of their official records because it's an exhibition.
This has led to frustration among those who value the sport's tradition of fair and balanced matchups. According to Showbiz, the ongoing criticism has fueled debate about whether Jake is ultimately helping or hurting boxing's image. He emphasizes that if Gervonta Davis dominantly defeats Jake Paul, it could bring an end to the trend of mismatched fights. In that case, Tank would not only secure a significant victory, but also be celebrated as a boxing hero for protecting the sport's integrity.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it.
Help you up. We're going to see We're going to see about it. Help you up. We're going to see.
Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5". He's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment, will go viral, and he will be a far bigger, well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black Two Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive.
Arguing that he's simply doing what sells and that Davis accepted the challenge knowing the risks involved. Rogan countered that argument by stressing that money shouldn't override fighter safety or the integrity of the sport. He reminded listeners of past weight mismatch controversies that ended badly for the smaller fighters. Rogan's remarks have since gone viral, sparking heated debates between Jake Paul supporters and critics. Jake, for his part, fired back in typical fashion, claiming Rogan was jealous and that he's ready to prove everyone wrong inside the ring. But Rogan stood firm, saying his comments weren't personal. They were about fairness and ethics. Jake's a smart businessman, but this isn't influencer boxing anymore, Rogan said. When you step into the ring with a real killer like Gervonta, you're playing with fire. With tensions building and fans divided, this feud between Joe Rogan and Jake Paul has only added more fuel to what is shaping up to be one of the most controversial fights in recent boxing memory.